Assalamualaikum and hi, I'm Noor Binti Noorashid with matrix number 047984. This study discusses the structure of conversation in a television talk show entitled The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. This is his interview with Michael Obama, and the topic of the talk show is about the White House incident. We are going to analyze the talk show using two theories, which are Delham's speaking model 1972 and Grice Maxim model. So these two theories focuses on the structure of the conversation. Next, I'm going to explain more about Hymes Ethnography of Speaking and Grice Maxim of Conversation. So we are going to start with the first one, which is Hymes Ethnography of Speaking. In 1962, Hymes proposed ethnography of speaking as a way to study on how people talk. Later, the name was changed to include other symbolic means of expression and called ethnography of communication. Hymes developed a device to describe the elements that make up any speech. He referred to this as a speaking model. And the parts are: first, S stands for setting and scene. The setting refers to the time and place, while scene describes the environment of the situation. P stands for the participant, which refers to who is involved in the speech, including the speaker and the audience. E stands for ends, the purpose and goals of the speech along with the any outcomes of the speech. A stands for act of sequence, the order of event and that took place during the speech. K stands for key, which is the overall tone or manner of the speech. I stands for instrumentalities, which the form and style of the speech being given. N stands for norms, define what is socially acceptable at the event. And the last one is G, the genre, the type of speech that is being given.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Syafiqah Binti Daud. My matric number is 047774. So first of all, we chose to use the speaking model by Hymes to analyze the transcription from the interview. According to Small, the framework is designed to describe in complete detail different genres of speech in order to understand what real communication is and what rules, linguistics or otherwise makes a speaker competent. First is the setting and scene, which consists of three circumstances: physical, psychological, and cultural circumstances. The first one, physical circumstances, are the conversation took place in a talk show on a filming set where Michelle was interviewed by Stephen Colbert, who was the host of this talk show. Second is psychological circumstances. Only Michelle and Stephen was active in the conversation. The group of audience were just watching and reacting to their conversation. The last one is cultural circumstances. The range of formality can be regarded as an informal conversation. The second one is participant. There are two main people involved in the conversation, as I've mentioned before, which are Michelle Obama and Stephen Colbert. Sometimes the role can be permanent and sometimes not, depending on the context of the situation itself. Stephen led the conversation by asking the questions to Michelle. The audiences there were not directly involved in the conversation. Next is the ends. N in this model is illustrated within the three main components, which are the purpose of the speech event, the goals, and finally the outcome of the conversation. The purpose here is to interview Michelle on her current updates and to talk about the White House incident. There were no specific goals, however, we can say as an interviewer, Stephen surely has prepared a list of questions he intended to ask. 4. Act sequence. An act can be specified as the form and order of the event. The interview was about 28 minutes long with a few intervals of commercial breaks.
My name is Muhammad Anwar bin Idha Nawawi with matrix number 047732. Moving on to the key, we can analyze that the tone of the interview conversation between Michelle Obama and Stephen Colbert is actually casual, relaxed, and friendly. So even though the message they want to deliver is actually serious, informative, and matter of fact, so we can see that the ex-First Lady of America answered every question passionately, and quite numbers of her answers were personalized with casual storytelling. Next, the instrument. According to Hymes, instrument actually deals with the styles and form of the speech. Both of them use formal English, laced by casual register with here and there grammar errors. But I think it is understandable because both of them are native English speakers. Both of them use fillers such as ha, and to signal new information, to recall word memory, or to signify or signal hesitation. Next, the norm of interactions. So there are some overlaps and interruption happen in the utterance of the conversation, especially on the second minutes, because both of them want to keep the conversation going on. So Michelle Obama tend to answer the questions with sense of storytelling as the rhetorical tool to answer the question asked. So she uses personal narratives and experiences to further support her thoughts, such as on minutes 3, where she talks about how she forgot the countries that she visited and debated with her staff. Last but not least, the genre of the conversation is actually a casual interview with serious information intended. We can see that most of the late show with Stephen Colbert episodes depict on humorous and witty interviews. So the host, Stephen Colbert, trying to instill the funny and lively atmosphere during the conversation. I think that's all from me. Thank you so much for listening.
Grice Maxim of Conversation, a collection of maxims proposed by a linguist named Paul Grice to describe the principle that people follow in order to guide their conversations. So there are 4 types of maxim, which are maxim of quality, quantity, manner, and relation. So the first one, the maxim of quantity, is when one tries to be as informative as he can, but try not to give more information or less information than it needed in a particular discussion. Maxim of quality is when one tries to be as honest as he can and try not to give an information that is not supported by any evidence. Maxim of relation is when one tries to be relevant and say something that is related about the topic only. The last one, maxim of manner, is when one tries to be as clear as he can and avoid obscurity and ambiguity.
My name is Amir Shafie bin Amdan with the metric number 047916. Today, I will share with you guys Grice cooperative principle, maxims of conversation, and conversational implicature in this interview. So Grice introduces the cooperative principle approach to describe how conversation operates. He also introduces the concept of conversational implicature to describe how we infer unstated meanings in ordinary conversation. One way of cooperating is by following some rules in conversations. Grice calls these rules maxims of conversation. Move on to the first rule, the maxim of quantity. It means to make your contribution as informative as required. Basically, don't say too much. Okay, the reason why this conversation follows the rule of the maxim quantity is because, as you can see in the example, Michelle Obama replied to Stephen Colbert's question very briefly. The reason why this conversation violates the maxim of quantity is because Michelle Obama explained too much information to Stephen Colbert. The next rule is the maxim of quality. Basically, don't say what you believe to be false. Basically, don't giving out untrue information. Alright, the reason why this conversation follows the maxim of quality because if you watch the interview, you can see that Stephen Colbert sincerely said this to Michelle Obama, that he liked her book very much. And he wasn't being sarcastic or there's no pun intended. he was being really sincere about liking her book. Okay, the reason why this example of conversation violates the maxim of quality, because if you watched the interview, Stephen Colbert was joking around with Michelle Obama that he would have an independent scientist to check on the recipe. So he violates the maximum of quality because he is unsure. He was just joking about it.
Hello and Assalamualaikum. I'm Nurul Dalila Khairunnisa Binti Lutfi with the metric number of 047772. I will be presenting about the third and final maxim that was found in this video. So moving on to the third maxim, which is maxim of relation. This is where we need to be relevant, or both speaker and hearer need to actually converse about the same topic. So in their conversation, both Colbert and Obama actually followed and also violated the maxim. On the screen, you can actually see the examples that was found in the transcription. On the upper part of the table, both Colbert and Obama actually followed the maxim of relation as they were talking about the same thing, while on the lower part of the table, Colbert actually violates the maxim of relation as he did not answer of Obama's question and also move on to another topic. Moving on to the last maxim, which is maxim of manner, where this is where people need to be clear and simple about what they're discussing about. For this maxim, people actually, speaker and hearer need to avoid vagueness, obliqueness, and even metaphor. So on the upper part of the table, both Obama and Colbert follows the maxim, where Colbert actually answered clearly and actually avoid any ambiguity, while on the lower part, we actually found two examples where Colbert did not use simple words or expressions, and he also did not clearly answer Obama's question.
In conclusion, we can conclude that we can use both Hymes Ethnography of speaking theory and Grice Maxim of conversation to analyze a spoken discourse from a talk show. Using the Hymes Ethnography of speaking theory, it helped us in knowing a complete detailed different genre of speech in order for us to understand what is real communication means. Using Grice Maxim theory, we can conclude that in the talk show, there are some maxim has been obeyed, but there are some maxim are violated. That is all from me. Thank you.